Captain Ji-hoon Park stood alone in the center of the massive chamber. Around him, 300 alien faces stared down from holographic screens. Some had too many eyes. Others had none at all. A few were just clouds of gas held together by force fields. But they all shared one thing in common. They all wanted humanity gone. The chamber floated in space, orbiting a neutron star at the galaxy's center. Ji-hoon had traveled for 3 weeks to get here. He came alone because Earth's government knew what was coming. This was not a trial. It was a sentencing. A being made of living crystal spoke first. Its voice echoed through the chamber like wind chimes in a storm. Captain Ji-hoon Park, you stand here representing the species known as humanity. This council has reached a decision. Ji-hoon said nothing. He kept his hands clasped behind his back. His face showed no emotion. He had learned long ago that aliens found human expressions difficult to read. His calm would either scare them or confuse them. Either way, it was better than showing fear. The charges are clear, the crystal being continued. Humanity expands too quickly. In 200 years, your species has claimed 40 systems. You build stations where others see only empty space. You ask too many questions. You push too hard against boundaries. Another voice joined in. This one came from a blob of purple flesh with speaking organs all over its surface. Human military vessels grow stronger each year. Your weapons development exceeds all acceptable limits. You explore restricted zones without permission. A third alien spoke. This one looked almost human, but its skin shifted colors like oil on water. Worse than all of this, your culture spreads like a disease. Human music plays on alien worlds. Human food corrupts traditional diets. Human ideas of freedom and individuality threaten the stability of the council. Ji-hoon allowed himself a small smile at that last part. The aliens noticed. You find this amusing? The crystal being asked sharply. I find it honest, Ji-hoon replied. His voice was steady and clear. You fear us not because we are dangerous, but because we are different. We ask why when you say accept. We explore when you say stay. We grow when you say be satisfied. And yes, our culture spreads because others choose to embrace it. That is not infection. That is choice. The chamber erupted in angry sounds. Clicks, whistles, roars, and electronic screeches filled the air. The crystal being raised what might have been a hand. Silence fell. Your arrogance proves our point, it said coldly. Therefore, the Galactic Council issues this decree. Earth and all human colonies must withdraw behind a 50-light-year exclusion zone. You have 6 months. Any human ship that crosses this boundary after that time will be destroyed without warning. All trade agreements are canceled. All diplomatic channels are closed. The galaxy has spoken. Humanity is exiled. The 300 species began to fade from their screens. Most looked satisfied. A few looked uncomfortable. One or two even looked sad. But none of them spoke in humanity's defense. Ji-hoon waited until only the crystal being remained. Then he spoke again. Understood. We will be gone within 6 months. You will not see us again. The way he said it made the crystal being pause. You accept this sentence without protest? I accept that you have made your choice, Ji-hoon said. And now we will make ours. The crystal being faded away, Ji-hoon stood alone in the empty chamber. Then he turned and walked back to his ship. His steps were steady. His head was high. He did not look back. The journey home took 3 weeks. When Ji-hoon's ship finally entered Earth's orbit, he expected panic. He expected fear. Instead, he found something else entirely. Preparation. President Yoona Choi met him at the landing platform. She was a small woman with iron in her eyes and steel in her voice. What did they say? Exile, Ji-hoon replied. 50 light years, 6 months. Yoona nodded slowly. She did not look surprised. Then we have work to do. That evening, Yoona addressed the planet. Billions of humans watched on screens across Earth and every colony. She stood behind a simple podium with the Earth flag behind her. Her speech was short. Today, the Galactic Council exiled humanity. They claim we expand too fast. They say we ask too many questions. They fear our culture and our curiosity. They have ordered us to retreat behind a wall 50 light years thick. They believe this is a punishment. Yuna paused. A slight smile crossed her face. They are wrong. The Council has given us the greatest gift possible. Freedom. Freedom from their rules. Freedom from their limitations. Freedom from their fear. For 200 years we have played by their rules. We have stayed in their approved zones. We have limited our growth to satisfy their comfort. No more. She leaned forward. Her eyes seemed to look at every person watching. Humanity has always done our best work when someone tells us we cannot. They say go back. We say go forward. They say stay small. We say grow strong. They say you do not belong here. We say then we will build our own place. Yuna straightened. We have 6 months to recall every human beyond the exclusion zone. But we will not come home in shame. We will come home with knowledge, with technology, with resources. And then we will show the galaxy what happens when you tell humanity to stay in a box. We do not break. We build something better. The broadcast ended. Across human space, people did not panic. They did not weep. They got to work. In orbital stations, engineers began designing new ships. In universities, scientists analyzed every piece of alien technology humanity had legally purchased. In government offices, strategists mapped out unexplored space beyond the exclusion zone. On colony worlds, farmers harvested crops and prepared for relocation. Commander Taehyun Lee received his orders 3 hours after the president's speech. Recall all humans. Leave nothing behind. Bring home everything that might be useful. He looked at the star map showing Earth's 40 colonies. Most were inside the exclusion zone. 8 were not. Those 8 would have to be abandoned. Taehyun began making calls. He expected anger. He expected resistance. Instead, every colonial governor said the same thing. We understand. We will be ready. Tell us what you need. 6 months, 40 colonies, thousands of stations, millions of people. It should have been impossible. But humanity had been doing impossible things since they first looked at the stars and decided to reach them. The exile had begun. And so had something else. Something the Galactic Council would not understand until it was far too late. Humanity's true potential was about to be unleashed. The first ships began moving within 24 hours of President Yoon Choi's speech. Commander Taehyun Lee watched from the bridge of the carrier Indomitable as dozens of transport vessels lifted off from the colony world of New Seoul. Each ship carried 1,000 people and whatever they could pack in cargo holds. They left behind homes. They left behind farms. They left behind 12 years of hard work building a new world. But they did not leave behind their spirit. All transports away clean, reported the navigation officer. No complications. Next wave ready in 6 hours. Taehyun nodded. 39 more colonies to go. 5 months and 27 days remaining. He pulled up the master schedule. Every colony had a departure plan. Every ship had a route. Every person had an assigned transport. It was the largest human migration since Earth's population had spread to the solar system 300 years ago. On Earth, Dr. Sora Kim worked in a laboratory deep beneath the Korean peninsula. Around her, alien devices covered every surface. Propulsion systems from the Vel Thara, medical scanners from the Trilix, communication arrays from a dozen different species. All of it purchased legally over the past 2 centuries. All of it now laid out for study. Sora picked up a Velthara engine core. It was small, the size of a basketball, but it powered ships that could cross a light year in a week. She had been studying these engines for 15 years. Now she understood why they worked. More importantly, she understood why they could work better. The problem is efficiency, she said to her assistant. These engines waste 70% of their energy. The aliens never bothered to improve them because 70% waste is good enough. They have been using the same design for 5,000 years. Her assistant, a young engineer named Minho, frowned at a holographic display. Why would they not improve it? Because they are comfortable, Sora replied. She set the engine down gently. When you have everything you need, why change? Why take risks? Why innovate? She smiled. Humanity has never been comfortable. We have only been in space for 200 years, and we have already redesigned our engines 3 times. We improve because we must. They stagnate because they can. Minho's eyes widened. If we can fix the efficiency problem, we could travel 3 times as fast, Sora finished. Maybe 4 times. And that is just the beginning. Across the solar system, similar conversations were happening. In Mars shipyards, engineers studied alien hull designs. In lunar universities, xenobiologists cataloged genetic samples from alien crops. On Europa Station, physicists examined strange energy readings from the galactic core that the Council had dismissed as background noise. Humanity was not just retreating, they were learning. Engineer Hyunwoo Nam stood in a conference room with 50 of humanity's best strategic minds. Behind him, a massive star map showed the exclusion zone. The 50-light-year bubble around Earth and its colonies glowed in red. Beyond it, Council space was marked in blue. But most of the map was black. Unexplored space. Look at this, Hyunwoo said, pointing to the black regions. The Galactic Council controls approximately 30% of the galaxy. Most of it is in the galactic core where stars are close together. Easy to travel, easy to trade. But out here, he gestured to the spiral arms. Out here, stars are farther apart. Travel is harder. Resources are scattered. The Council calls it dead space. Worthless. A general named Seokjin raised his hand. You think differently? I know differently, Hyunwoo replied. Dead space is only worthless if you have slow ships and no courage. We are about to have fast ships. And we have always had courage. There are 10,000 systems within 100 light-years of the exclusion zone that no Council species has ever explored. 10,000 possible colonies. 10,000 chances to find resources, technology, or knowledge. Another voice spoke up. The Council exiled us from their space. You propose we claim space they have ignored? Hyunwoo grinned. They gave us a 50-light-year head start. Let's use it. The proposal was forwarded to President Yuna. She approved it within an hour. The Outer Expansion Initiative was born. While humanity recalled its colonies from Council space, it would simultaneously prepare to expand into the unknown. Exile was not retreat. It was repositioning. 4 months into the evacuation, young navigator Ji-woo Han sat in the pilot seat of a long-range scout ship. Her mission was simple. Map the space beyond the exclusion zone, find systems worth colonizing, report back. She had been flying for 3 weeks. Her ship had jumped through 15 systems. Most were empty. A few had dead planets. One had a star that would explode in 1,000,000 years. But this one was different. Computer, confirm readings, Ji-woo said, staring at her screens. Confirmed, the computer replied in a calm voice. System contains 11 planets. 4th planet is inhabitable zone. Atmosphere is oxygen-nitrogen mix. Water present. No technological signatures. No intelligent life detected. Ji-woo's hands trembled as she entered the data into her log. A perfect world. Unclaimed. Unknown. Just sitting here waiting. The Council had flown past this region 1,000 times and never bothered to look closely. She marked the system on her map and gave it a name. New Dawn. It was the first of many. By the time 6 months had passed, all humans were back behind the exclusion zone. Not a single person remained in Council space. Commander Taehyun stood on the bridge of the Indomitable as it made the final jump home. Behind him, the last transport convoy followed. Final head count, he ordered. The report came back quickly. All personnel accounted for, 0 casualties, mission complete. Taehyun allowed himself to relax. They had done it. 40 colonies evacuated. 3 million people relocated. Thousands of tons of equipment and supplies salvaged. And they had finished with 2 days to spare. But more importantly, they had brought something back that the Council never expected. Data. In her laboratory, Dr. Sora completed her analysis of the alien engines. She had found 7 major inefficiencies. She had fixed 6 of them. The 7th would take another year, but it did not matter. With 6 fixes, human ships could now travel at speeds that would make Council vessels look like they were standing still. Engineer Hyunwoo received reports from 300 scout missions. They had mapped 5,000 systems. 800 were worth colonizing. 40 had resources Earth desperately needed, and 1 had something incredible, something ancient. Scout Captain Sun Woo Cho had found ruins on a rogue planet drifting between stars. The ruins were old, older than any known civilization, and they contained technology that made Council devices look like children's toys. President Yoona Choi reviewed all the reports. Then she called a meeting of the human government. Every leader from every major nation attended, every military commander, every head scientist. She showed them the data. "This is what we have learned," she said. "The Council is old. They are comfortable. They have stopped growing. They see empty space as worthless because they lack the courage to explore it. But we do not lack courage. We never have." She pulled up a map showing humanity's new plans. "We have 6 months of supplies. We have ships that can travel 3 times faster than anything the Council has. We have 800 systems ready for colonization. And we have something else. We have unity. The Council exiled us expecting we would beg to return. Instead, we are going to build an empire that makes theirs look small." The room was silent. Then someone started clapping. Then another. Soon, the entire assembly was on its feet, applauding. Yoona let them celebrate for a moment. Then she raised her hand for silence. "This will not be easy. We are alone. We have no allies. We must build everything ourselves. It will take decades, perhaps centuries. But we will do it, because that is what humanity does. We survive, we adapt, we overcome." The meeting ended. The leaders returned to their nations, and across human space, people got to work. Navigator Ji-Woo Han received her new assignment. She would lead the first colony ship to New Dawn. 3,000 people. Enough supplies for 5 years. Equipment to build a city. As her ship prepared to launch, she looked at the star maps one more time. The exclusion zone showed clearly. 50 light-years of buffer space. The Council thought it was a cage. Ji-Woo smiled. It was not a cage. It was a launching pad. And humanity was ready to fly. 20 years passed in silence. The Galactic Council went about its business as if humanity had never existed. Trade continued. Wars were prevented. Disputes were mediated. The 300 species governed themselves according to laws that had stood for 10,000 years. Everything was orderly. Everything was predictable. Everything was exactly as it had always been. But some council members could not forget the exiled species. Ambassador Rixtal was one of them. His people, the Korthan, were cautious by nature. They had survived in the galaxy by being careful, by planning ahead, by worrying about threats before they appeared. And Rixtal worried about humanity. He stood before the Council Subcommittee on External Threats. 5 species were represented. None of them seemed interested in his concerns. "It has been 20 years, Rixtal said, his forearms gesturing to the holographic display. 20 years of complete silence from the exclusion zone. No transmissions, no trade requests, no distress signals, nothing. A blob-like species named the Vorthan spoke through its translator. "That is the point of exile, Ambassador. They are cut off, isolated. Likely they have collapsed. Human aggression probably turned inward. They may have destroyed themselves." "Or," Rixtal countered, "they may be doing something we cannot see. I propose we send a probe into the exclusion zone, just to observe, just to know." The committee head, a crystalline being, made a sound like breaking glass. It meant disagreement. "The exile decree is absolute. No contact means no contact, not even observation. The humans are gone. Let them stay gone." Rixtal pressed his case. "But what if they are not gone? What if they are building something? We should at least—" "Denied," the crystal being interrupted. "This committee has more important matters to address. The Trillic Sun situation requires immediate attention. The human question is closed. Rixtal left the chamber, frustrated. But he was not the only one asking questions. In bars and trading posts across council space, beings gossiped. What happened to the humans? Did they survive? Did they give up and return to their single planet? Did they evolve beyond their aggressive nature? No one knew, and increasingly, no one seemed to care. Humanity became a footnote in galactic history, a cautionary tale about what happens when a species refuses to follow the rules. But inside the exclusion zone, something remarkable was happening. Admiral Dongyun Kang stood on the observation deck of the warship Eternal Dawn. Before him, space was filled with ships, 300 vessels, each one displaying technology that would make council engineers weep with envy. Fleet status, he ordered. His second officer, Commander Yejin, read from her display. All ships ready, new propulsion systems operational, weapon systems tested and functional, shielding at maximum efficiency. We can deploy in 6 hours. Dongyun nodded slowly. The new frontier fleet. 300 ships that could travel 4 times faster than anything the Council possessed. Ships with weapons humanity had designed themselves, borrowing alien concepts but improving them in ways aliens never imagined. Ships crewed by men and women who had grown up in exile, who knew nothing but self-reliance and determination. And the colonies? Dongyun asked. 47 systems fully operational, Yejin replied. Population just past 2 billion. 15 more systems under development. 23 outpost stations established in deep space. Dongyun smiled. 2 billion. When humanity was exiled, the total population had been 1 billion. In 20 years, they had doubled. Not through war or conquest, but through expansion into space the Council had ignored. What about the discovery? Dongyun asked quietly. Yejin's expression grew serious. Explorer Sunwoo reports the ruins are fully mapped. Dr. Minji's team has made significant progress. Dongyun walked to the window. Out there, beyond the fleet, beyond the colonies, on a rogue planet that drifted in the darkness between stars, lay humanity's greatest secret. The precursor ruins. Technology from a civilization that existed 50,000 years before the Council was even formed. Dr. Minji Yoon had been studying those ruins for 15 years. She had started as a young scientist, eager and brilliant. Now her hair was turning gray, but her mind was sharper than ever. She stood inside the alien facility, surrounded by her team of researchers. The chamber was massive. The walls were made of a material that seemed to shift between metal and crystal. Strange symbols covered every surface, glowing faintly in colors that human eyes could barely perceive. In the center of the chamber stood what Minji called the gate. It was a ring, 50 meters across, made of the same strange material as the walls. According to their scans, there were thousands of these gates scattered across the galaxy. But they were all inactive, dead for 50,000 years. The Council knew about them but had never been able to activate them. Minji's team had spent 15 years trying to understand the technology. And now, finally, they had succeeded. Run the sequence, Minji ordered. Her lead engineer, a young man named Daehyun, entered commands into a human-built interface they had connected to the alien systems. The gate began to hum. The sound was unlike anything else, a vibration that seemed to come from everywhere at once. The ring began to glow. Light spread across its surface, moving in patterns that made the human mind ache to follow. Then, suddenly, the center of the ring changed. It no longer showed the far wall of the chamber. Instead, it showed a different place entirely. Another chamber, another gate, 300 light-years away. The team stood in stunned silence. Then someone started laughing. Then everyone was laughing, hugging, celebrating. They had done it. They had activated a precursor jump gate, a device that allowed instant travel across the galaxy. The Council used ships that took weeks to cross a few light-years. Humanity had just unlocked technology that crossed hundreds of light-years in a single step. Minji watched her team celebrate. Then she activated her communication device. Admiral Dongyun, this is Dr. Minji. The gate network is operational. Repeat, the gate network is operational. There was a long pause. Then Dong-Hyun's voice came back, thick with emotion. Understood. Beginning Phase 2. Phase 2. The Return. But humanity would not return begging for acceptance. They would not ask permission to rejoin the galactic community. Instead, they would offer something the Council could not refuse. Captain Sunwoo Cho prepared his scout ship for the longest journey he had ever attempted. His mission was simple but dangerous. Take a small ship to the edge of the exclusion zone. Send a message to the galaxy. Wait for a response. He had volunteered for this mission because he trusted in what humanity had built. He had been the one to discover the precursor ruins. He had watched as humans turned exile into opportunity, fear into strength, isolation into unity. The ship's computer counted down. Approaching exclusion zone boundary in 10 seconds. Sunwoo took a deep breath. 20 years. 20 years of silence. Now humanity would speak again. 3, 2, 1. Boundary reached. Sunwoo activated the transmission system. The message was short. It was in every major galactic language, and it was impossible to ignore. To all species of the galaxy, humanity offers new trade routes, advanced technology, and colonization opportunities. We have explored regions you have never visited. We have discovered things you have never imagined. If you are interested in fair partnership, contact us. We do not seek to rejoin the Council. We seek to build something better, together. The message repeated on multiple frequencies. Then Sunwoo waited. He did not have to wait long. The first response came within an hour. Then another. Then 10 more. By the end of the day, Sunwoo had received contact attempts from 40 different species. Most were minor members of the Council. Species with little power and many problems, but some were major players, species that controlled significant resources. All of them wanted to know the same thing. How had humanity not just survived, but thrived? Sunwoo forwarded all the messages to Earth. Then he sent his own report. Admiral, they are listening. They are interested. They are scared. Phase 2 is in effect. Back on Earth, President Narration sat in the same office that Yoona Choi had occupied 20 years earlier. Yoona had retired 5 years ago, having led humanity through its most difficult period. Now it was Nari's responsibility to lead humanity through its return. She read Sunwoo's report. 40 contacts in one day, and more were coming. Let them come, Nari said to her advisors. Let them see what we have built. Let them understand that exile was the best thing that ever happened to us. One of her advisors, an older man named Kiwon, spoke carefully. Some will want to attack us. Some will see us as a threat. Then they will attack, Nari replied calmly. And they will lose. We are not the same species they exiled 20 years ago. We are stronger. We are smarter. We are united. And we have something they never will. What is that? Kiwon asked. Nari smiled. The courage to change. The Galactic Council emergency session was chaos. 300 species all spoke at once, their voices mixing into a wall of sound that made the translation system struggle. Some were angry, some were frightened, some were simply confused. But they all focused on the same thing. Humanity had returned. The crystal being that served as council head tried to restore order. It failed. The chamber was too full of panic. Ambassador Rixtal of the Korthan stood at his platform, all 4 arms raised for attention. Finally, someone noticed him. Slowly, the noise died down. They did not cross the exclusion zone, Rixtal said clearly. The humans sent a message from the boundary, nothing more. Technically, they have broken no laws. A Vorthan delegate made a sound of disgust. They broke the spirit of the exile. They were meant to disappear, to become weak, to beg for readmission. Instead, they offer trade, technology. What kind of prisoners offer their captors gifts? They were never prisoners, Rixtal replied. They were exiled. There is a difference. The council head spoke, its voice like breaking ice. The question is not what they were. The question is what they are now. We have reports of human ships that travel faster than our best vessels. We have intercepted transmissions suggesting they have colonies in unexplored space. We have detected energy signatures that match precursor technology. How is this possible? They were isolated for 20 years. No one had an answer. A small species, one of the minor council members, spoke up nervously. Perhaps we should speak with them. Learn what they want. They said they seek partnership, not war. Partnership? Another delegate laughed bitterly. They want revenge. They want to make us regret the exile. We should destroy them now, while we still can. Rixtal's forearms trembled with frustration. You cannot destroy what you do not understand. I warned this council 20 years ago. I said we should watch them. I said we should know what they were doing. You ignored me. Now we are blind, and they are strong. That is not their fault. It is ours. The council meeting dissolved into more arguments. Some wanted to send diplomats. Others wanted to send warships. A few wanted to simply reinforce the exclusion zone and hope humanity stayed away. No decision was reached. But while the council argued, other species were already taking action. The Trillics were a small species with a big problem. Their sun was dying. It had been dying for 50 years, expanding slowly toward their home world. The council had promised to help relocate their population. But council bureaucracy moved slowly. Permits were needed. Environmental studies had to be completed. Suitable worlds had to be identified and approved. It had been 50 years, and the Trillics were still waiting. Their ambassador, a gentle being named Trillim, was desperate. She had watched her sun grow larger in the sky every year. She had seen the temperature on her world rise. She had counted the years left before her people would have to evacuate. 3 years, maybe 4. When Trillim heard humanity's message, she did something the council had forbidden. She responded directly. Within a day, she received a reply. A human named Hana Bai wished to speak with her. They agreed to meet at a neutral station near the exclusion zone boundary. Hana Bai was young, perhaps 30 human years, with sharp eyes and an easy smile. She wore simple clothes and carried herself with confidence that came from certainty, not arrogance. Thank you for meeting with me, Hana said. I understand your people face a crisis. Trillim's tentacles twisted nervously. Our sun dies. In 3 years, perhaps 4, our world will be uninhabitable. The council promises help, but delivers only delay. How many Trillics need relocation? Hana asked, pulling out a datapad. 4 billion. Hana did not even blink. We can have your people relocated within 3 months. We have identified suitable worlds in space the council has never explored. The environments are compatible with your biology. We can provide transport, supplies, and support for your first 5 years of settlement. Trillim could not believe what she was hearing. 3 months? The council has been planning for 50 years and still has not acted. How can you move 4 billion beings in 3 months? Because we do not wait for permission, Hana replied. Because we have ships that can carry 1 million passengers at a time. Because we have done this before. We evacuated 3 million humans in 6 months. 4 billion Trillics in 3 months is difficult but possible. What do you want in return? Trillim asked. There had to be a price. Recognition, Hana said simply. Formal recognition of humanity as a sovereign power. A trade agreement on fair terms. And your word that you will tell other species the truth about what we did for you. Not propaganda, just the truth. Trillim was silent for a long moment. Then she made the decision that would change the galaxy. I accept. The operation began within a week. Massive human transport ships arrived in Trilli space. Each ship was larger than anything the Council had built in a century. Each ship could carry 1 million passengers in comfort, with medical facilities, food supplies, and entertainment systems. The Trillics who boarded the first ships were terrified. They had never seen humans before. The stories they heard said humans were violent, aggressive, dangerous, but the humans they met were friendly, patient, kind. Human crew members helped Trillics families find their quarters. Human doctors treated Trillics children who were sick. Human engineers worked alongside Trillics workers to prepare the new colony worlds. Within 2 months, 3 billion Trillics had been relocated. The operation ran so smoothly that Even the skeptical Trilix began to trust their human partners. The galaxy watched in stunned silence. The Council had spent 50 years planning what humanity accomplished in months. And the humans did it without asking for control, without imposing their culture, without demanding submission. They simply helped because they could. Other species began to contact humanity. Species with resource shortages. Species with diseases the Council could not cure. Species trapped in disputes the Council was too slow to mediate. Humanity helped them all. The Council could no longer ignore what was happening. The crystal being called an emergency meeting. This time, everyone was quiet. Everyone was listening. "We made a mistake," the crystal being said. Its voice was heavy with something that might have been regret. "We exiled humanity believing they would weaken. Instead, they have grown stronger than we imagined. They have technology we do not understand. They have goodwill we have lost. They have speed we cannot match." "Then we are doomed?" someone asked. "No," the crystal being replied. "But we must change. We must adapt. We must decide if we will fight them or join them." Ambassador Rixtal spoke again. "Fighting them would be foolish. They have already proven they can move billions of people across space while we argue about permits. They have ships that make ours look ancient. They have the support of species we have failed. If we fight, we will lose." "Then what do you propose?" the crystal being asked. "We talk to them," Rixtal said. "Not as superiors talking to exiles, but as equals. Perhaps they can teach us what we have forgotten. How to help, how to change, how to grow." The Council voted. It was not unanimous. Many species wanted to maintain their authority, their pride, their ancient ways. But enough voted for contact that the measure passed. A message was sent to humanity. The Council requested a meeting, not to demand, not to threaten, but to negotiate. President Narration received the message in her office on Earth. She read it 3 times. Then she called her advisors. "They want to talk," she said. "It could be a trap," one advisor warned. "It could be surrender," another suggested. "It could be the beginning of something new," Nari said quietly. She thought about the past 30 years. The exile, the struggle, the growth, the return. Humanity had proven itself not by destroying its enemies, but by helping those in need. "We will meet with them," Nari decided. "But not here. Not in council space. And not alone. We will bring representatives from every species we have helped. Let the council see what partnership looks like." Her advisors nodded. It was a good plan. The meeting was set for 3 months later. Location neutral, terms equal. No guards, no weapons, just talk. As the day approached, Admiral Dong Yun prepared the Eternal Dawn to escort the diplomatic ship. Captain Ji-hoon Park, now elderly but still sharp, came out of retirement to serve as senior military advisor. Dr. Sora Kim and Dr. Minji Yoon prepared briefings on human technology, ready to share or withhold depending on how the talks went. And Ambassador Hana Bay, who had helped the Trilix and dozens of other species, prepared to face the council that had once exiled her people. She was not afraid. She had seen what humanity could do when freed from fear. She had seen what happened when you offered help instead of demanding submission. The galaxy was about to learn the same lesson. Humanity had not needed the Council's approval 30 years ago, and they did not need it now. But they were willing to offer partnership, not from weakness, but from strength. The real question was whether the Council was ready to accept it. The meeting station floated in neutral space, exactly between Council territory and human space. It was a small structure, built hastily for this one purpose. Inside, 2 groups faced each other across a simple table. On one side sat the Council representatives, 7 beings from the 7 founding species, the ones who had written the exile order 30 years ago. They looked older now, tired. On the other side sat the human delegation, President Nari Shin in the center, Ambassador Hana Bay to her right, Captain Ji-hoon Park, now white-haired and walking with a cane, to her left. Behind them stood representatives from 20 species humanity had helped. The Trilix, the Korthan, the Velkin. and others. The crystal being spoke first. We gather here to discuss the future of galactic relations. 30 years ago, this council exiled humanity. We believed it was necessary. We believed humanity was dangerous. Nari said nothing. She simply waited. The crystal being continued. We were wrong. Not about humanity being dangerous. You are dangerous. Your ships are faster. Your technology is more advanced. Your expansion is aggressive. But we were wrong about what that danger meant. You are not dangerous to peace. You are dangerous to stagnation. A murmur went through both sides of the table. The crystal being had just admitted the council's mistake. That never happened. We wish to negotiate, the crystal being said. We wish to end the exile. We wish for humanity to rejoin the galactic community. Nari folded her hands on the table. Why? The question hung in the air. The council representatives looked at each other uncomfortably. Finally, a different being spoke. One that looked like living water held in a transparent skin. Because we need you. Our civilization has stopped growing. We have maintained peace by preventing change. But prevention is not the same as progress. You have helped 20 species in ways we could not. You have explored space we were too afraid to enter. You have innovated while we stagnated. If we continue as we are, the galaxy will die slowly. Not from war, from irrelevance. Nari appreciated the honesty. And what do you offer in return for our rejoining? Full council membership, the crystal being said. Access to all council territories, recognition of your colonies, trade rights, everything we took away, we will return. Nari was quiet for a long moment. Then she shook her head. No. Shock rippled through the council side. No? You refuse? We refuse to rejoin the council as it exists, Nari clarified. We do not want to be part of a system that exiles those who ask too many questions. We do not want to be part of a system that values stability over growth. We do not want to be part of a system that took 50 years to help the Trillics when we helped them in 3 months. The crystal being's color darkened. Then what do you want? Nari leaned forward. We want to build something new. Not a council that rules, but a coalition that partners. Not a system that maintains the old ways, but a system that embraces new ideas. Not a structure that punishes difference, but a community that celebrates it. One of the council founders, a massive being covered in scales, spoke angrily. You want us to surrender our authority, to give up 10,000 years of tradition, to become equals with species we have guided for millennia. That is unacceptable. Then we are done here, Nari said calmly. She stood up. Her delegation stood with her. The crystal being raised what might have been a hand. Wait. Please. The word please seemed to pain it. What specifically do you propose? Nari sat back down. The council continues to exist, but only as a forum for discussion, not a body for command. Each species governs itself. Trade is negotiated directly between species. Disputes are mediated by neutral parties, and most importantly, exploration and innovation are encouraged, not restricted. Chaos, the scaled being hissed. You describe chaos. We describe freedom, Hanabe spoke up. The freedom that allowed humanity to grow from 1 billion to 3 billion in 30 years. The freedom that allowed us to colonize 50 systems while you managed 5. The freedom that allowed us to help 20 species while you debated procedures. Ambassador Rixtal of the Corthan stood. He was on the council side, but now he walked around the table and stood with the humans. I support this proposal. My people have watched humanity for 30 years. We have seen what freedom produces. Innovation, courage, progress. Things the council has forgotten. One by one, other species began to stand and move. Small species, minor council members, species that had been ignored or dismissed for centuries. They joined the human side. The 7 founders sat alone. They looked at each other. They had come here expecting to dictate terms. Instead, they were losing control. The crystal being made a sound like shattering. It was laughter, bitter and resigned. You have outmaneuvered us. You come here not asking for acceptance. You offer us a choice. Join your new system or become irrelevant. Yes, Nari said simply. That is exactly what we offer. And if we refuse? If we fight? Nari's expression did not change. Then you will lose. Not because we will destroy you, but because everyone else will choose partnership over control. You will become a small group of old species, shouting about past glory while the galaxy moves forward without you. The crystal being was silent for a long time. Behind it, the other 6 founders argued quietly among themselves. Some wanted to fight, some wanted to withdraw, some wanted to compromise. Finally, the crystal being spoke. We need time to consider. This is not a decision we can make in one meeting. Take all the time you need, Nari replied. But understand this. With or without you, the new system begins today. Humanity and our partners will form the Free Worlds Coalition. We will trade freely. We will explore openly. We will help those who ask for it. You are welcome to join us as equals, but we will not wait for your permission. The meeting ended. Both sides returned to their ships. As the human delegation prepared to leave, Jihoon Park looked at Nari with pride in his old eyes. You did well, he said. Yuna would be proud. Nari smiled. I learned from the best. You taught us to turn exile into opportunity. Yuna taught us to turn opportunity into strength. Now we teach them to turn strength into partnership. The years that followed were difficult. Some council species joined the coalition immediately. Others took years to decide. A few refused entirely and tried to maintain the old ways. But slowly, inevitably, the galaxy changed. 5 years after the meeting, 80 species had joined the Free Worlds Coalition. Trade flourished. Exploration expanded. Innovation exploded. Young beings from 100 different species studied at human universities, learning not just technology but philosophy. The idea that asking why was not rebellion but progress. The concept that change was not danger but opportunity. 10 years after the meeting, the old council dissolved entirely. Even the founding species had to admit the truth. The galaxy had moved on. Some joined the coalition with grace. Others joined with resentment. But they all joined because the alternative was isolation. 20 years after the meeting, humanity had grown to 5 billion people, 100 systems, thousands of stations, and countless friendships with species that had once feared them. 50 years after the exile, things had come full circle. A young human pilot named Yoonji Park flew patrol along the old exclusion zone boundary. The boundary was still marked on maps, but now it was just a historical note, a reminder of the past. The galaxy was open to everyone now. Yoonji received a message on her communication system. It was from a Velthara student studying engineering on Earth. The message was simple. I have been learning about human history, about the exile. I have a question. How did humanity succeed where the council failed? What is your secret? Yoonji thought about her great-grandfather, Jihoon, who had stood alone before 300 species and kept his dignity. She thought about President Yuna, who had turned exile into opportunity. She thought about all the humans who had worked, explored, innovated, and helped over the past 50 years. She smiled and typed her response. There is no secret. You already know it because you asked the question. The council failed because they stopped asking why. They stopped wondering what if. They stopped believing things could be better. Humanity succeeded because we never stopped asking, never stopped wondering, never stopped believing. She paused, then added one more line. The greatest gift the council gave us was telling us we did not belong, because once we accepted that, we were free to build our own place. And it turned out, when you stop waiting for permission, there is nothing you cannot do. Yoonji sent the message and returned to her patrol. Below her, space was filled with ships from 100 species, all traveling freely, all exploring, all growing, all asking questions. The galaxy was no longer ruled by fear of change. It was driven by hope for the future, and that future was brighter than anyone had imagined possible. Humanity had been exiled from the galaxy. But in the end, humanity had not just rejoined the galaxy, they had remade it. Not through conquest, not through force, but through example. By showing that courage, curiosity, and compassion were more powerful than control. The exile was over. The real journey was just beginning. And humanity, as always, was ready for whatever came next. Because that was what humans did. They survived. They adapted. They overcame. They asked why. They explored what if. They built what could be. 50 years ago, the galaxy had decided to exile Earth. Humanity had not needed to be told twice. They had left willingly, eagerly, ready to prove that they did not need the galaxy's approval to thrive. And they had proven it beyond any doubt. The galaxy had exiled humanity, hoping they would weaken and beg to return. Instead, humanity had grown strong and offered partnership as equals. It was the greatest miscalculation in galactic history, and the best thing that ever happened to both humanity and the galaxy. Sometimes, being told you do not belong is exactly what you need to hear. Because only then do you realize you do not need to belong to anyone else's vision. You can build your own, and that vision can change everything.